right, welcome everybody. I know we're just getting all folks logged in at this point. We have about, I think it's 73 registered participants, so I have to scroll down to see how many people are here, but in the meantime, welcome, and we're just going to start off in a minute or so. So hold tight, and we'll be right with you.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Hi, everyone. My name is Andréane Martel. I'm the director of the Spur Change National Program. My preferred pronouns are she and he, and I'm based in Montreal, located in the traditional lands of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. So, bonjour à tous et à toutes. Bienvenue à ce webinaire. Mon nom est Andréane Martel. Je suis la directrice du programme national Activer le changement. So before we start, I would like to invite you to choose a language. So the session today will be a bilingual session. So 2 speakers will be speaking in French and 2 speakers will be speaking in English. So we invite you to choose, and you can go on the next slide, Lasha. We invite you to choose the language, your preferred language for this session. So on this slide, you can see that at the right bottom of your page, you can pick the language, either French or English. Unfortunately, we don't have Spanish today, but you can pick between French and English. Donc, la session aujourd'hui sera bilingue. Vous pouvez décider d'y participer soit en français ou en anglais. Donc, comme vous le voyez sur la diapositive, vous pouvez choisir en bas à droite la langue que vous souhaitez, avec laquelle vous souhaitez interagir aujourd'hui. Donc, c'est le français ou l'anglais. Malheureusement, on n'a pas l'option de l'espagnol aujourd'hui. Peut-être une autre fois. So as of now, if you choose your language, you should be hearing either French or English, either me or the translator, interpreter, Fanny. So if you have questions, you can write them in the chat box. Okay, there we go. So we can go to the next slide. So who we are the Spur Change team. So the Spur Change program is a 5-year initiative funded by Global Affairs Canada. So our objective is to increase the effectiveness of small and medium organizations and to offer learning opportunities for small and medium organizations across Canada. In the context of COVID, we are offering a series of learning opportunities for small and medium organizations in particular. So we are trying to offer tailored opportunities for SMOs needs. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the presentation today, but we have 2 upcoming learning opportunities. So you can go on the next slide. Okay, so for the agenda for today's call, first we will talk a little bit about a few housekeeping items. I will then introduce the event. I will introduce the speakers, and then we will have the speakers presentation. Each speaker will speak for about 7 to 10 minutes. Then we have a Q&A and we have breakout rooms, so you have an opportunity to exchange and talk about your own experience in regards to the team. So the housekeeping matters. We can go on the next slide, Lasha. Thank you. So first of all, this webinar will be recorded, so you will have access to the bilingual webinar. And then you please ensure that you are muted at all time. You can use raise hand function to signal if you wish to speak, and you can use the chat function to share your questions or comments. Also, if you have specific questions, technical questions, you could write directly in the chat to Sebastian Vielmas. So Sebastian is part of the Spur change team, and he is there to respond to any of your questions. And now I'd like Nico to ask you if you could share the French slide, if it, I think it's already there. So if you want to follow the presentation in French, so we've prepared slides in French as well. So you can access these slides in the chat. And then you can open a different window with the French slides. And of course, these slides will be made available in French and in English to all participants after the webinar. Okay, we can change slide. So in regards to the theme of the conversation today, so when the COVID-19 outbreak started in mid-March, we invited small and medium organizations across Canada to let us know what were their emerging needs in the context of COVID and what kind of support we could offer as a Spur Change team. So we consulted over 125 organizations across Canada early April. And one of the themes that came out was around adapting your programming and your activities and then collaborating with local partners. So this is where the idea of this session today came from. So we asked 4 SMOs to respond to the following question. What does collaboration look like in times of COVID-19? How your organization is working with your local partners to maintain your program activities? And how are you providing support in the context? So I will introduce you to our 4 presenters. So we invited small and medium organizations from across the country, from the West, from Ontario, from Quebec, from Atlantic, to share their preliminary learning so far. So before we move ahead with the presentation and the introduction to speakers, we would like to launch a live poll. So we would like to ask you one question about where your organization is working. So Nico, could you please share the live polling? I don't see, oh, there we go. So in our consultation with small and medium organizations, many told us that they would like to get in touch with other organizations working in the same areas, in the same regions, the same countries. So that's why we are asking these questions. In the breakout sessions later in this call, we will also we also try to create breakout rooms with people working in the same regions. Okay, so we have around 79% working in sub-Saharan Africa, 81, so a vast majority, I will say. And then the second most important region is Latin America and the Caribbean, 65%. And then we have Central and Southern Asia, 18%. Middle East, 13%, and then Eastern and Southeastern Asia, 10%. Okay, good. That's a good, it's great to have a sense of where your organizations are working. Thank you. Okay. Because organizations also ask us to have opportunity to network with other organizations, we are sharing a contact sheet for this event. So if you would like to share your contact information with other participants, You can fill that sheet, and then we will circulate these information along with the slides after the webinar. Okay, so I'm done with all the preliminary information sharing. So now the most important part of it. So I'm happy to introduce you to our four speakers today. So the first one speaking will be Bella Lam. So Bella is a director of programs at the Jane Goodall Institute. They are located in Ontario. The second speaker will be Catherine Bourgault. She is a global WASH advisor for the Center for Affordable Water and Sanitation Technology, CAWST, based in Alberta. Then the third speaker will be Catherine Pappas, who is the coordinator of International Program Committee at Adaptations in Quebec. And then we will have Wendy MacDonald, who is the president of Farmers Helping Farmers, and she is located in Prince Edward Island. Okay, so Jane.
Bella, yes, I assume that's me from the Jane Goodall Institute.
Oh, sorry, right. Bella, yes, sorry.
That's okay. I thought in case there's another Jane in the audience. So thank you so much. I think for Spur Change for organizing these really important learning and sharing opportunities. So I'm going to start my own timer just to make sure I don't go over and my colleagues will have enough time to also present. So I want to just give a very quick overview of the Jane Goodall Institute for those who may not be familiar with our work. So JGI, or Jane Goodall Institute, we're part of a global community of conservation organizations. We have globally over 20 chapters around the world, and our primary focus is the working in sub-Saharan Africa on fragile ecosystems where there are endangered species. So looking at how we can protect both the habitat and the animals, but our approach is working through communities. We take an approach where we are supporting the communities living in those particular fragile environment and looking at how we can improve their lives so that they can become our partners in conservation. So in terms of specifically where we work in Africa, we have programs in Tanzania, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, also the Republic of Congo, Senegal, and also Guinea. In terms of what's relevant, I think for this group, we have a maternal newborn child health program in the DRC, and we also have a project on climate change adaptation, building community resilience in Senegal. So some of the examples I'll be sharing in terms of our lessons learned to date will be on those specific programs. Next slide, please. Great. So from our experience, and I just want to preface it by saying we are sort of in the same boat as everybody else here, I'm sure. We are finding our feet and finding our ways and sort of making mistakes along the way and trying to pivot and change course. So everything that I'm sharing here is not that that's the only way or that's a better way by any stretch of the imagination, but simply aiming to just share our experiences. And I'm actually really looking forward to hear from others as well and learn from them. So I thought it might be helpful to look at how we support our partners from 3 different project cycles, because we actually currently have 3 projects in various stages of completion. So we have a particular project that we just started actually with the small medium organization funding. We recently signed the contribution agreement. We're still in the, I think we're one of the last actually organizations to sign. So we're still in the project implementation planning stage. So I'll talk a little bit about what does that mean with COVID-19 and how we're getting around it. We have another project in Uganda, and actually that is working with a program with Global Affairs Canada on their International Aboriginal Youth Initiative. So it's the different complications of travel and sending Canadian youth to work with our partners in Uganda. And we're midway through that, so I can talk about some challenges there. And then lastly, the maternal newborn child health project that I mentioned, we're actually finishing up right now as we speak. So there are other challenges we're facing in terms of wrapping it up. So I'll just kind of give a quick, some summary points of each project. So for the Senegal one, as I mentioned, we are in the project of doing the PIP, the Project Implementation Plan. Our original plan was actually go in country to do a full PIP workshop for about a week, meeting with all the stakeholders. Senegal has a curfew in place right now. There are no travels, not only internationally, but there's no travel within the regions. So the challenge is we actually have hired a new staff, a director of programs, who is in Senegal, but not based in our project area, because we're in a very remote part of the south eastern part of the country, and the person whom we just hired is from near the capital. So it's a day and a half drive to get to the project site. So we're facing barriers about even local staff not able to move around. And we're right now in the process of actually coming up with some virtual learning tools that we kind of have been adapting from educators here in Canada, doing virtual classrooms to set up some of the sessions that we would normally do in person, and do that. It's like a webinar, but a little bit more hands-on, like a virtual whiteboard, where there'll be more interactive with the people who'll be getting the materials. So that's something we're just testing technology. We're also asking for an extension. We'll be asking for extension from Global Affairs Canada for our PIP due date. But we're waiting on that because we currently don't even know how long to ask for, because things are changing so rapidly. Just want to quickly move to, in terms of our project in Uganda. As I mentioned, it's a project where we're actually placing Indigenous Canadian youth with our project partner in Uganda. And so with the travel, everything just put on hold right now. So we're now looking at, again, using technology and how to engage the existing stakeholders while we kind of a sitting and waiting period, and basically pivoting a lot of activities that we have to do. And lastly, with the end of project phase, with a project in the DRC, so luckily all the activities are done. We're just in the final data collection phase. Unfortunately, we've had to stop that as well. And so what we've learned is, instead of collecting the final month of the data, we actually may forego that. And, I have been in dialogue with GAC as well, because we have, I would say, 98%, if not 99% of our data. So rather than risking the health of our staff to go in and get that last month, because we have 3 years and 11 months worth of data. So at some point, I think the lessons learned is, rather than strictly following the schedule, sometimes you just have to look at what is good enough, and looking at the whole pandemic and ensuring that we're not doing things in a way that would not be safe for our staff as well as for communities, just for the sake of making sure we get a task done. And the other big lesson learned for that, obviously, is to ensure that there are no major activities that's going to be happening in the last month or even last quarter if you can help it. Luckily, we were able to finish direct program activities because we set them up to be finished by February. The project technically ended in March. So now we're just in the final phase of reporting out. So I think that's something we'll be applying to our Senegal project as well. Just when we're planning, kind of think of the last quarter, even we have that time to not really doing any heavy activities in case we need that space. Next slide, please. Great. So this is, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but this is just I just took a quick screen capture of some of the virtual tools we've used to do strategic planning. So that was kind of if you zoom in, you kind of see all of our virtual sticky notes. So we did as a team, basically looking at, so on one hand, everything stopped, which is frustrating, but on the other hand, we find that we actually have extra time on our hand to really sit and think and how we can pivot and how we can actually emerge out of this period, not only going back to how we did things before, but are there things we should be changing and maybe continue to do it in a different way. So we took a bit of time to do a strategic plan to look at what a digital platform might look like for our programs team. And what we're learned is something to kind of lean into your mission a bit more. So I think when there's a disruption like a pandemic, it's very easy to get caught up in just responding to the moment, responding to, what are the immediate things we have to do, rather than being strategic and look at, okay, but is that the right way to respond? Like based on our mission, would we have normally done these activities otherwise? And so is that striking that balance between responding to a really urgent needs, but also not having a mission bleed and kind of reacting to things just because, that's what everyone's talking about, or that seems to be where the trend is going. So by taking the time to do some strategic thinking around what works and what doesn't work for us, it just helps us to anchor our decision making. If we're going to take on activities or if we're changing activities, what is the reason for that based on our mission? And obviously a big part of that is like listening to our partners. Like what are some of the things that we may have some ideas here, say at, sitting in Canada to think, hey, maybe we can try this or maybe we can try that with the goal of helping our partners. But obviously throughout that whole process, we've been going back to them and saying, is this a good way to help you? If not, what are your needs? And I think, which again, is nothing new. I think everybody here is already obviously very much looking at the partnerships with your local communities and local organizations in a very collaborative way. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of, just some takeaway points, I realize I should probably wrap up. In terms of what it means during this COVID-19 period. So I think for us, we kind of looking at what does it mean for our organization. And for the Jane Goodall Institute, we've always kind of have, in one sense, what we call like a One Health approach. So meaning looking at the interconnectedness between the health of people, the health of communities, which is truly linked with the health of the environment and the health of other species and other animals. And so looking at the ecosystem as holistic and not just one part or another. And that is pretty much part of our ongoing raison d'etre and our ongoing mission. And this COVID-19 really just put a real focus on that. In terms of what our community means, we also have a domestic program here in Canada working with youth and as well as Indigenous communities. So it's looking at, while we can't travel, while we can't move around, some of the local actions that we can take that can also have a global impact, and making that connection with our stakeholders here in Canada. And that goes for my fundraising colleagues as well, and try to share those stories and paint that picture of, as we're all kind of concerned about our own health and our own well-being, what does that also mean in a global context? And then in terms of what it means for beyond our communities, our world is, that whole Ubuntu saying like, I am because we are. And again, just really focusing down to the relationship between all of us together. And I think I have one last slide. The reasons for hope and why I want to end with that is part of this from our founder as well, Dr. Jane Goodall. That is very much her message. She has been also grounded in England where she lives. She actually should have been in Canada in March and April, but of course she canceled all her plans. And her big messaging out where she's been doing tons of interviews and videotapes is really focusing on that hope, because I think that helps to build the resilience for our local partners as well as for our staff and for our stakeholders here that we're working with within our own communities and in Canada as well. And we've done various other workshops where we've polled opinions of some of the stakeholders we work with, and that's just a word cloud of some of the key thoughts and key ideas that our stakeholders have kind of communicated, and why it's kind of focus on the importance of doing what we do. And maybe just I'll end on the mental health aspect of this, both for our staff as well as for the stakeholders that we work with. It's really important. We've done some workshops around that internally. We do engage with youth, as I mentioned, Indigenous youth as well as Canadian youth, and we're actually going to look at doing another workshop to look at how to ensure that the mental health of our target population is also being taken into account. In addition, while we're trying to do the various programmatic activities. So I'll end it there. Sorry if I've taken a bit more time.
Thank you so much, Bella. So I know that there's a few questions in the chat box, but I suggest that we wait after the end of the 4 presentation to respond to those questions. So Catherine, your turn.
Oui, bonjour à tous. Merci Bella pour la parole, merci Andréane pour l'organisation. Donc, je m'appelle Catherine Bourgault. Je travaille comme conseillère en WASH à l'ONG CAWST, Center for Affordable Water and Sanitation Technology. Donc, à CAWST est constitué d'environ une 50aine d'employés. On provient de 15 pays différents, puis ensemble, on parle 6 langages différents. Donc, comme vous pouvez voir, moi, je parle français, donc je viens du Québec. Donc, CAWST, qui nous sommes? Donc, on est une organisation qui travaille dans le secteur du WASH, donc dans l'eau, dans l'assainissement et dans l'hygiène. Par contre, on n'est pas une organisation qui travaille en humanitaire. Donc, on ne répond pas normalement à des situations de pandémie comme celle de la COVID. Donc, on a dû ajuster, comme vous tous, nos programmes. On est plutôt dans le développement. Donc, dans le fond, notre mission, nous, c'est de renforcer les capacités de nos partenaires en offrant des formations techniques et des services conseils. Donc, si on regarde au niveau des services, donc la prochaine diapositive. Donc, si on regarde au niveau des services à CAWST, donc on a 3 plateformes. Donc, premièrement, on a une plateforme de services plus directs. Pardon, je vais changer ça ici. Donc, voilà, selon la demande, on offre des formations et des conseils en ligne selon les partenaires qu'on a à travers le monde. On travaille plus directement aussi avec 5 organisations, donc on appelle nos wet centers, qui sont distribués partout à travers le monde. Donc, ces organisations-là, on les accompagne depuis plus longtemps et ils sont capables d'offrir les mêmes formations, les mêmes services conseils que nous. Et finalement aussi, on a une plateforme virtuelle. Donc, si vous allez sur notre site Internet, www.cawst.org, vous pouvez avoir accès à toutes les formations techniques, tous les matériels qu'on a développés, donc c'est libre d'accès. Et je dirais que c'est ce 3e aspect qui nous a permis de mieux répondre, donc facilement, d'adapter nos programmes à la réponse à la COVID. Donc, puisque, bon, nous aussi, on ne peut plus voyager, donc il faut orienter comment on peut répondre aux besoins. Donc, prochaine diapositive, s'il vous plaît. Donc, concrètement, qu'est-ce que ça ressemble? Donc, si on répond à la question comment que CAWST, on supporte nos partenaires durant le début de la pandémie, durant cette période de pandémie. Donc, premièrement, on a fait un contact direct. Donc, comme moi, on est plusieurs conseillers avec déjà avoir des partenaires sur le terrain. Donc, on les a contactés. Donc, pour nous, c'était important parce que, bon, on considère que c'est eux qui sont le mieux placés pour savoir comment c'est le mieux d'agir dans la situation. Donc, on les a contactés et il est ressorti 2 choses. Principalement, un manque d'information. Ça, c'était surtout en début de crise, là, en mars. Donc, il y avait une mésinformation. Donc, moi, je travaille en Haïti, donc il était ressorti que les gens, donc les messages venaient surtout du gouvernement, donc mais le gouvernement est mal perçu. Donc, il y avait comme une mauvaise connaissance de exactement c'est quoi la COVID. Donc, les gens ne respectaient pas les normes de distanciation sociale, donc c'était une mésinformation. Et deuxièmement aussi, c'est que, bon, nous, on travaille dans l'hygiène, donc on fait des campagnes de sensibilisation d'hygiène. La grande question, c'était de savoir, donc, nos partenaires considèrent que leur travail est essentiel. Ils veulent continuer à travailler, mais comment on peut s'assurer que leur travail soit fait de façon sécuritaire, qui respecte les normes de l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, qui ne mettent pas à risque leur propre vie ou la vie de leur famille aussi. Donc, comment on peut les aider à effectuer leur travail, mais en toute sécurité. Donc, c'est ces 2 aspects-là qu'on a tout de suite adaptés pour les soutenir à distance. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait? C'est qu'on a organisé des plateformes en ligne. On a organisé des webinaires avec des séances d'information sur exactement c'est quoi la COVID, c'est quoi les recommandations générales. On a mis aussi nos partenaires en lien pour discuter un peu de la situation dans différents pays. Un des grands projets qui a été mis en place rapidement en partenariat avec le London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, c'est un site Internet, donc je vous ai mis les liens ici, je vous encourage à visiter, qui s'appelle le Hygiene Hub. Ça, dans le fond, ça permet de répondre aux questions aux gens, aux organisations qui ont déjà des campagnes de sensibilisation d'hygiène, mais qui veulent adapter pour la COVID. Donc, ça répond aux questions, par exemple, qu'est-ce que je peux faire si dans ma communauté, on n'a pas accès à de l'eau courante ou on n'a pas de savon, par exemple. Donc, ça donne des trucs pour pouvoir adapter la réponse, donc les messages un peu plus généraux de l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, comment concrètement ça peut être adapté dans des situations dans les pays dans lesquels on travaille. Il y a aussi le deuxième lien, c'est une carte. Donc, n'importe qui peut ajouter leurs interventions. Donc, ça donne des exemples. Des fois, là, on voit des gens qui sont très créatifs. Donc, ça permet justement de partager là, les bonnes pratiques quant à la distanciation sociale, par exemple, qui peut être respectée. Prochaine diapositive. Donc, si on regarde un peu c'est quoi exactement les exemples concrets qui ont été mis en place par nos partenaires. Donc, si on reprend l'image au milieu, on voit une station de lavage des mains. Ça a été installé en Zambie. Donc, c'est ça. Il faut savoir que dans les recommandations de la Zambie, c'est de rester à la maison. Mais souvent, les gens qui restent à la maison ont accès à moins de services que nous, par exemple au Canada. Comme moi, je peux faire ma livraison en ligne. J'ai l'eau courante ici, donc je n'ai pas besoin de sortir pour mes besoins. Mais on sait que ce n'est pas le cas dans plusieurs des pays en voie de développement. Donc, les gens vont devoir sortir plus souvent pour aller au marché ou pour aller chercher de l'eau. Donc, on leur a suggéré d'installer des stations de lavage des mains au point clé dans leur village, donc à l'entrée des marchés ou au point sur le chemin pour aller chercher de l'eau. Donc, avec des messages de sensibilisation. Et puis, le plus important, c'est de s'assurer qu'il y a toujours de l'eau et du savon de disponible pour ne pas décourager les gens, pour que les gens puissent se laver les mains toujours. À droite, donc, c'est des liens par des vidéos. Donc, pour des raisons de temps, je ne ferai pas jouer les vidéos, mais en haut à droite, on voit une vidéo qui a été faite par nos partenaires en Haïti. Donc, c'est en créole. Ça démontre la construction d'un tipi-tap. Donc, comment on peut faire à la maison une station facile de lavage des mains sans contact. En bas, c'est une vidéo qui a été faite par notre partenaire au Népal, donc en népalais, sur les campagnes de sensibilisation, sur la promotion d'hygiène, l'importance de garder la distanciation sociale. Et puis finalement, si on revient à la gauche, au début, on avait, donc il y a des posters qui ont été mis en place pour souligner l'importance de la distanciation sociale, distanciation physique. Mais comme on peut voir sur l'image en bas, donc c'est un concept qui peut parfois être difficile à adapter dans certains pays en voie de développement, des pays du Sud où les gens sont habitués d'être toujours ensemble. Donc on voit tout le monde tient le poster avec, c'est important de rester à 2 mètres de distance, mais on voit que malheureusement, ça n'a pas été facile. C'est pas un concept facile à mettre en œuvre. Donc si on regarde la prochaine diapositive. Donc, on s'est rendu compte qu'il fallait un peu adapter. Donc, les posters, c'était peut-être pas la meilleure façon. C'est mieux de mettre carrément des indicateurs clairs, comme par exemple en bas à droite, c'est notre partenaire en Colombie qui a installé des pieds, comme on peut voir ici au Canada, donc qui permet de garder les distances de 2 mètres. Si on n'a pas accès à du matériel, donc on suggère de mettre tout simplement des bâtons piqués dans le sol ou faire des cercles de différentes couleurs, comme on peut voir en bas, dans le sol pour que les gens puissent clairement comprendre que c'est mieux pour garder la distanciation physique. Voilà. Prochaine diapositive. Donc, finalement, sur le dernier aspect, donc comme j'ai dit, il y avait une désinformation, donc on a travaillé à rendre l'information disponible à nos partenaires. Deuxième chose, c'était que nos partenaires voulaient continuer à pouvoir travailler. Il faut aussi comprendre que dans certaines des situations, les gens ont moins de tissu social, ils n'ont pas accès à l'aide gouvernementale comme on peut avoir ici. Donc, ils veulent continuer à travailler, ils considèrent que leur travail est essentiel, mais bien sûr, il faut faire en sorte que ça respecte les normes de distanciation sociale ou les normes de santé et de sécurité pour éviter qu'ils mettent leur propre vie en danger. Donc, on a travaillé sur un protocole. Ça, c'est ce protocole-là que vous voyez. Donc, le lien aussi, il va être dans la présentation, vous pouvez consulter. a été développé avec notre partenaire en Éthiopie, donc il suit les recommandations du gouvernement éthiopien, puis ça donne, dans le fond, des bonnes pratiques à suivre dans l'organisation de la campagne de sensibilisation, donc reliée au transport, comment on peut s'assurer d'avoir une sécurité, l'arrivée des participants, comment enlever la protection, l'équipement de protection personnelle, le retour à la maison. On leur suggère de prendre leur température souvent. Donc voilà, c'est un protocole qui a été mis en place en Éthiopie, mais qui peut être adapté dans d'autres contextes. Prochaine diapositive. Donc finalement, en conclusion, si on regarde les 3 messages clés à retenir, donc on s'est rendu compte en début de pandémie qu'il y avait une mésinformation, donc il était important de communiquer une information qui soit claire, utiliser des posters avec des infographies, comme on peut voir ici sur l'image, poster qui a été fait au Honduras. Donc, utiliser des images, un message clair. Aussi, donc, on considère que c'est nos partenaires qui sont à même mieux de savoir qu'est-ce qu'il y a à faire dans leur communauté. Donc, on a essayé de limiter nos idées puis de nos projets, mais de vraiment de s'attarder à eux puis d'écouter leurs besoins puis de répondre à leurs besoins. Parce que, bon, ils peuvent aussi être bombardés par d'autres informations, donc voir vraiment qu'est-ce qu'eux étaient prêts à faire et voulaient faire sur le terrain. Le dernier message, c'est de penser aussi au message à long terme, parce que, bon, nous, on travaillait déjà dans la promotion de l'hygiène. On sait comment ça peut être difficile de faire un changement de comportement. Maintenant, on a la pandémie, donc les gens ont peut-être plus tendance à vouloir se laver les mains pour se protéger. Donc, ils ont peur d'attraper la maladie ou ils ont peur, ils ont la pression sociale, ils veulent bien paraître. Donc, c'est un bon moment pour changer les comportements. Mais comment garder cette période-là pour que les gens puissent se laver les mains à long terme? Donc, c'est pas seulement en temps de pandémie, mais c'est toujours, hein, il faut se laver les mains le plus souvent pour la prévention de d'autres maladies. Donc voilà, c'est ce qui termine ma présentation.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And I will invite you and Bella and the other speakers to perhaps respond in the chat box to very specific questions about different tools that you're sharing. Otherwise, I would like to invite Catherine Pappas from Alternative to share their experience.
Bonjour tout le monde, merci Andréane, merci tous les organisateurs et les interprètes. Moi, je travaille comme coordonnatrice du comité international Alternative. Alternative est une organisation qui a été créée en 1994 à partir du travail de 3 centres d'études et de mobilisation qui travaillaient dans 3 régions du monde différentes. Il y avait le CIDMA qui travaillait beaucoup autour des questions de la lutte contre l'apartheid en Afrique du Sud, le CEAD qui travaillait au Maghreb, Mashrek, mais principalement autour des questions israélo-palestiniennes, et le CERAS qui travaillait en Asie du Sud beaucoup sur la question des intégrismes religieux. À ce moment-là, c'était beaucoup des groupes qui travaillaient avec les diasporas ici et avec des partenaires locaux, et plusieurs des partenaires avec lesquels ces groupes-là travaillaient sont encore nos partenaires aujourd'hui. Et c'est un peu ce qui fait l'approche d'Alternative. On travaille beaucoup, on met de l'avant cette idée du partenariat dans l'ensemble de notre travail, et ce n'est pas nécessairement des partenaires toujours formels qui travaillent sur nos projets spécifiques, mais c'est des partenaires avec lesquels on fait du réseautage et de l'éducation, de la mobilisation. On travaille dans différents secteurs, les droits de la personne, processus de démocratie participative, soutien aux mouvements féministes, aux droits des femmes, mise en réseau des mouvements sociaux, droits du travail, souveraineté alimentaire, développement urbain durable, essentiellement des questions de justice sociale, de justice environnementale. Et on envisage toujours la question du partenariat dans une réciprocité. On fait une co-construction, en fait, d'actions communes. Et je pense que c'est des questions importantes. En fait, cette approche est importante dans la façon qu'on aborde aussi dans notre réponse à la pandémie. Alternative n'a pas de bureau, n'a pas d'antenne dans les pays où on travaille. On travaille essentiellement avec nos partenaires locaux. Donc, prochaine slide, en fait. Merci. L'impact de la COVID-19 a été, bon, premièrement, il y a eu un impact sur Alternative, sur l'équipe à Montréal. On est 12, on travaille beaucoup ensemble, un travail en fait de consultation, de coopération. Notre programme international est très lié à notre programme national, donc il y a toujours des échanges. Nos programmes internationaux ont un aspect d'éducation qui est assez important. Donc, il a fallu réajuster nos outils, essayer de voir comment continuer chacun dans nos confinements à créer, à garder en fait cette approche et cette logique de travail. On a aussi, en fait, très rapidement, il a fallu, Alternative depuis 25 ans environ maintenant, envoie des stagiaires, des jeunes stagiaires pour travailler avec nos partenaires à l'étranger. À l'international. On avait à ce moment-ci, au moment du confinement, de la pandémie, 19 stagiaires dans une dizaine de pays. Donc, il a fallu très rapidement rapatrier l'ensemble des stagiaires. Et en fait, dans des pays où la pandémie évoluait de manière différente aussi avec toute la logistique que ça l'impliquait. Et puis, évidemment, la prochaine étape était vraiment de communiquer avec nos partenaires. Et ici, par partenaire, je les mettrai un peu dans deux catégories. Les partenaires avec lesquels on travaille directement dans des projets actuellement, mais aussi les partenaires avec lesquels on collabore depuis 25 ans ou au cours des 25 dernières années pour voir un peu comment eux vivaient la situation chacun dans leur pays, quels étaient les enjeux, quelles étaient leurs préoccupations, comment eux voyaient la réaction à court, moyen et plus long terme et les lendemains de cette pandémie-là, s'ils commençaient déjà à imaginer quelle serait leur suite. Évidemment, en fait, on a fait des entrevues par visioconférence, on a envoyé des questionnaires. Parmi les éléments qui ressortaient beaucoup, c'était évidemment l'insécurité actuellement en raison de la pandémie, toute la question de la maladie et comment ça affecte chacun, les limitations en termes du travail, parce que les confinements sont évidemment différents d'un pays à l'autre, d'une situation à l'autre, mais ça l'affectait nécessairement tous nos partenaires parce qu'ils étaient tous pris à la maison. Il y avait une question des bénéficiaires. On travaille beaucoup au Honduras et je vous en parlerai un peu plus tard, avec des travailleuses de l'économie informelle. C'est parmi les gens qui ont été le plus affectés par la pandémie et par le confinement. Des femmes qui sont aussi victimes de violences. Donc, voir un peu comment on était capable de répondre, de soutenir les partenaires pour répondre à ces situations-là. Il y a eu aussi beaucoup de partenaires qui s'inquiétaient du backlash, en fait, politique, de toute la surveillance qui découlait directement ou indirectement à cause du suivi, en fait, de la pandémie. Donc, un partenaire au Népal, par exemple, soulevait la question comment est-ce que c'est possible aujourd'hui de continuer à parler du droit à la vie privée, par exemple, et des droits politiques, et de replacer la pandémie dans son contexte médical, évidemment, mais dans tous les autres contextes et dans toutes les autres situations que ça crée. Évidemment, à cette étape-là, l'impact, en fait, on a commencé aussi des discussions avec les bailleurs de fonds. Et prochaine slide, pardon, je cherche le mot. S'il vous plaît, merci. Et en fait, il a fallu commencer à définir des plans de contingence pour les projets qui étaient en cours. En fait, je passerai déjà à la prochaine, la prochaine diapositive, merci. Donc, au moment où on a développé les plans de contingence, en fait, on travaillait sur différents projets à différentes étapes. Certains projets étaient un peu, comme Bella le racontait dans sa présentation, certains projets étaient un peu dans les dernières étapes. Certains étaient assez avancés, donc c'était un peu plus facile de réagir. Et le projet Honduras, dont je vais vous parler un peu plus en détail, était vraiment à ses débuts. Il s'agit d'un projet qu'on réalise, qui est financé par le gouvernement du Canada, qu'on réalise avec un partenaire qui s'appelle la Fautier, qui représente les travailleuses, les travailleurs et les travailleuses de l'économie informelle au Honduras. L'objectif, en fait, c'est de favoriser l'autonomisation des travailleuses de l'informel et les rendre, en fait, plus aptes à faire face à la violence, en fait, renforcer leurs droits et réduire, en fait, leur vulnérabilité à la violence. C'est un projet qui était au stade du développement du plan de mise en œuvre et très vite, à cause de la pandémie, on a dû réfléchir en même temps au plan de contingence. Le Honduras est en confinement et nos partenaires également depuis le 15 mars. Les partenaires, en fait, étaient donc dans une situation un peu comme nous, essayer de réagir et répondre aux besoins des bénéficiaires à partir de la maison. On avait prévu dans ce projet-là une série d'activités qui doivent en fait répondre aux besoins des travailleuses de l'informel, mais très vite, on s'est posé la question, mais comment on peut essayer de répondre à leurs besoins à très court terme, parce qu'avec le confinement, avec la pandémie, le confinement, ces travailleuses-là ont été très vulnérabilisées, elles ont perdu leurs moyens de subsistance, elles ont été aussi confinées à la maison, beaucoup plus sujettes à la violence domestique. Donc, est-ce qu'il y avait moyen de réagir plus rapidement? Donc, l'idée, c'était de voir à mettre en place, en fait, l'avocat, par exemple, qui devait travailler sur le projet, sur d'autres dossiers, a commencé à donner du soutien psychosocial aux femmes. On a essayé d'imaginer comment essayer d'ouvrir. Le centre risque d'ouvrir un peu plus rapidement qui était prévu. Donc, ça a été avec aussi le soutien des bailleurs de fonds canadiens, une façon de réagir et de réorganiser le projet pour répondre aux besoins à court, moyen et plus long terme des partenaires honduriens. Peut-être la prochaine diapositive. En termes d'apprentissage, bon, évidemment, dans tout ça, on a continué le travail d'éducation, de mobilisation en ligne. En termes d'apprentissage, je pense que c'est encore très tôt de tirer des grands apprentissages parce qu'on est tous dans une période d'ajustement et d'apprentissage constant et de réajustement. Mais c'est certain que la façon de travailler, d'être à l'écoute de nos partenaires, c'est essentiel parce qu'ils sont les premiers capables de réagir à la situation. Il faut rester flexible et ouvert aux différentes réalités et compréhensif aussi par rapport aux limitations de nos partenaires qui sont parfois encore plus complexes que les nôtres. Et je pense que ce qui est essentiel, c'est de commencer à réfléchir à la suite. On est dans tous nos confinements respectifs face à un vide, en fait, et il faut essayer de voir comment, à partir de cette espèce de vide, on peut continuer à co-construire en fait, notre mission, en fait, et essayer de créer, en fait, comme Alternative et ses partenaires croient qu'il est encore possible un monde différent où on fait... où il y a plus de justice sociale et justice environnementale. Donc c'est ça. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Catherine. just before introducing our last speaker, I just want to invite you, if you have questions, so you can write them down in the chat box in either French or English. And after the next presentation, we will have a short Q&A period, and then we will go in the breakout room. So Wendy, you're up.
Thank you, Andriane, and thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this event. I think the silver lining to this whole situation is the increased opportunities that it's given us to get to know each other and to share information and insights. And I've already gotten some great ideas from the speakers that have come. I guess we occupy a different niche, perhaps, than some of the other organizations. We are a long-standing. We were founded in 1980. We work in 2 areas of Merrill County. We tend to do fairly in-depth measures with over a long period of time at the level of individual firms and women's groups, dairy co-ops. We have 1 part-time staff in Canada managing our new GAC project. And we have 6 permanent staff in Kenya who we value enormously and without whom we couldn't do our work. And they include 2 dairy specialists, 2 horticulturalists, a women's empowerment consultant, and a human nutritionist. And they are just the greatest group. And so I think they've been much on our minds in many ways throughout this whole process. We work with the farm families to improve their food security and their diet diversity. Hence the name of our project was GAC, More Food, Better Food, Empowering Kenyan Women Farmers. Many of the members of our dairy co-ops are women. All the members, obviously, of the women's groups are women. So we work at the moment with 8 women's groups, 3 dairy co-ops, 5 schools through the GAC project, and about 15 more schools through twinning relationships. And we have ongoing relationships with our past Kenyan partners. We send volunteers and we send students to Kenya, over 300 in the past 2 decades, and we do a fair bit on PEI, I think, around global awareness through our fundraiser, through the twinning relationships. By now, about 1/4 of Prince Edward Island schools have been in at least a 6-year relationship with a Kenyan school, exchanging letters and often sending support and resources. So I'm a relative newbie. I've been with them for 12 years and very happy to be the president, and they are an extraordinary group of people. Next slide, please. So our relationships, so far, I would say COVID hasn't harmed our relationships. If anything, it has perhaps strengthened them a little bit. We were fortunate to be able to get our GAC project off to a quick start. We had pretty much wound down some other activities. So we signed our agreement last fall. We signed our PIP. I think PIP got approved in March, and we were permitted to begin some measures before the actual signing of the PIP, since they're mostly kind of foundational to the actual training and extension work that we were doing. We have agreements with all the women's groups, all the schools, all the dairy co-ops, and with the county. Next slide, please. We've been following the needs of our partners very closely through our permanent staff. We're Facebook friends, like they send us monthly reports. We're in touch with email. There are often close relationships between volunteers who have been there in the past. So there's that network of ongoing contact. We have a coordinator who is a senior major community leader. She's in constant contact. And we also have a number of board members and volunteers who read the Kenyan papers. I've been tracking the Ministry of Health. So we're basically trying to keep an eye on the situation there as much as we can. There's been strong public health measures in Kenya that were put in place fairly sort of forcefully. And there was, I think, initially good compliance. Now what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks, judging by, the news and the news releases, is compliance is declining. There's pushback, and we're starting to see that uptick. And in particular, cases spreading outside the 2 major cities. So far we haven't had any cases in our project area of Merrill County. And we hope that continues for a while, but we know that that can't last. We're in, like all countries, our challenge is to balance the health risks that COVID poses to the people we work with and to our staff with the reality that what we're doing is giving them significant protection against COVID. And I'll talk a bit more about that in the next slide. So far we've chosen to carry down, and in fact, we're doubling down on the work we're doing to try and get as much done as possible in case we have to shut her down or change our approaches. Next slide, please. So I love this picture. The joy on those faces is wonderful to see. And, you know, just one second, sorry. So really all 400 families now have rainwater harvesting tanks set up, and they've got solar lights, which also double as phone chargers. Those are remarkably important, particularly the water tanks, as I guess Catherine will appreciate. It gives the farm families access to on-farm water for irrigation, for their cattle, for hand washing, very important, for household use. And they don't have to go off farm to get their water from communal sites. It also saves a great deal of time. The solar lights let them charge their phones at home, and it often struck me, you know, how interesting it is, the conditions, you know, the infrastructure that they have in their homes is not what we have, but their cell phone and their banking is amazingly sophisticated and a lifeline in many ways, and it's going to be a medium through which we can continue to work with them. So that piece is key. We have directed our staff to keep on working on farms. Boosting food security is a priority, and while doing that, they're also modeling health protecting behaviors. We haven't explicitly directed them to deliver health promotion messages yet. They don't consider that they're not professionally qualified to do that, but I think some of the resources that Catherine has described, the water and sanitation, we may tap into those. At the schools, all the schools have guidance, both the 5 project schools, we're going to put them in place, but 15 other schools where there's currently cookhouses and guidance. Schools are closed, but the gardens are being cultivated and tended, and the food from them is being made available. Next slide, please. So in terms of how we've adapted our approaches, we were watching it closely. We were there in January, February, came home in mid-February. We're blessed with a number of relationships with the University of Prince Edward Island, including epidemiologists, nutritionists, and so on. So upon going over in late January, I was following all the news about COVID very closely, being a policy person by background. And so one of our team members, an epidemiologist, equipped us all with N95 masks, which was a bit sobering, standing there in the Shelltown airport. He didn't think we'd need them on the way over, but he thought there was a good chance we'd need them by the time we were coming back. And fortunately, that was a lull. As things got worse, we managed to get some pre-service teachers and other volunteers home from Kenya. That was the focus in late February, early March. And then we basically waited for the shoe to fall. And on March 15th, the directive came down, and we then got together, basically had an intensive couple of days of emails, Zoom meetings, and came up with, you know, basically a refocused direction. A big piece of our project is to conduct training with groups, dairy groups, parents groups. Basically, all those have to stop. The focus was on getting the water tanks up and running, and then things like vegetable grow bags, anything that would improve access to food for those families and make them more self-reliant. And really, it's not just the families, it's often extended family and the community around them. And we had our staff gathering information and developing materials for the longer term. We provided them with a protocol to communicate with farm families, and basically declaring that that they had no symptoms, asking if anyone there had symptoms, seeking permission to go, emphasizing hand washing, and so on. And for our staff that were traveling in the vans, like the matatus and boda bodas, we told them basically that had to stop. We provided extra funds for them to travel in hired vehicles. Next slide, please. So in terms of our relationships with governments, in the past, we haven't tended to have a lot of relationships. As you can tell, we're a very practical bunch of people. We tend to work on the ground with families and, you know, with groups. As we work now with the GAC project, and as we expand and diversify our work, We're also moving to a more horizontal approach of partnering with other NGOs and with, in particular, the county government. That goes back. They've been visiting PEI for several years now. We met, we have an MOU, and they've assigned extension personnel, and we hope to work with the community health volunteers as well. So our relationships with the county government is close and positive. We don't have a deep relationship at the moment with the national government. Next slide, please. So what have we learned so far? I think it's to focus on our core goals, but to be open to changing how we get there. You know, we basically had to look at what we were doing. The core is to make those families sort of food secure and, you know, to improve their diet diversity, and in so doing to improve their income and their self-sufficiency. But we've had to make some significant changes in the how, and we hope to get back, I think, to some of our key things further on. And I have to say that although some members of our group were a very can-do bunch of people, chafed a little bit, I think, under the amount of paperwork that we had to put together for the GAC. I guess as a policy person, I saw value in it at the time, and I see even more value now because it really has helped us. Having like those detailed annual and quarterly work plans, having our indicators, having our theory of change has, I think, helped us focus and make the changes that we've made so far. We hope that we're going to be able to carry on in some fashion going forward. It's possible that we'll have to cease project activities altogether. In that case, we have a tough decision what to do as our staff. I think we may try and find the resources to keep them on because we value them so much, and they would be hard to replace. And that hopefully down the road, we'll be able to get back to the group work and the other things that were part of the project. So again, thank you for being part of this, and thank you for the insights you've given me. Would be happy to provide information later or see what's in the chat to answer.
Thank you so much, Wendy. So we will go to a very short Q&A period, maybe just taking 3 or 4 questions maximum, and then I will invite you to stay to be part of the breakout session so we could have a more open conversation. And you might also want to keep your questions or your comments for the breakout, which is going to be a little bit more interactive. So Nico, I will let you continue with the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. So please, folks, if you have any questions, just write them down in the chat box. Please do so as well in the language of your preference. So we're just going to take a minute or so. If you do have one, I know there were some technical questions that have already been responded, so thanks for the proactivity on answering those questions. And there was one question that may perhaps open just a little bit of the room. Wendy, this is for you, on how you adjusted GRP activities to accommodate school closures on PEI. So perhaps this is something that you can share with us.
We have an education committee, and we do these letter exchanges. So I think we were just fortunate with the timing. Our group was able to bring letters over to Kenya. Our school volunteers who were there were able to bring back the letters, and they were distributed before everything closed down in PEI. At the moment, I have to say they are in a lull. We're just putting together our spring newsletter, and in the past we've done a twinning school newsletter as well. A little harder to distribute in the current circumstances, but I think in short, there's a bit of a lull. We also have actually a global classroom resource that we developed years ago that's used at the grade 3, 6, 9, and sort of senior high levels. And this gives us an opportunity to refine and update that. So I think like a lot of us, we're going to pull maybe to back burner work and do the things that should do and the want to do things, because right now there's just not as many must do things that we're able to do.
Thank you. And we have a question from Isabelle. Je me demande quelles sont les activités que l'on peut mettre en œuvre dans le cadre de projets qui n'a pas réellement commencé sur le terrain. Donc, je me pose la question si quelqu'un, peut-être Catherine, les deux Catherine qui sont en ligne, voulez partager quelques expériences par rapport à ça.
Oui, Donc, je peux commencer à Isabelle. C'est sûr que c'est un défi. Nous aussi, on a remarqué à CAWST que c'est plus facile de garder contact avec les partenaires qu'on avait une longue relation avec, on avait déjà des projets. En ce moment, la recherche de nouveaux partenaires, de nouveaux projets, c'est plus compliqué. C'est aussi très incertain hein, parce qu'on ne sait pas quand on va pouvoir recommencer à voyager. On ne sait pas, il y a plein d'incertitudes, donc ça reste que nous, de notre côté, on garde contact, on leur explique la situation, mais c'est difficile de planifier.
Je ne sais pas si Catherine, alternative, tu veux ajouter quelque chose ou...
En fait, non, c'est un peu ça. En fait, oui, il y a une... en fait, avec nos partenaires, il y a une communication continuelle. Donc, c'est toujours des ajustements. C'est toujours d'essayer de voir qu'est-ce qui est possible de faire dans le cadre actuel. Dans le cas du Honduras, le gouvernement canadien s'est montré assez ouvert, en fait, pour faire les ajustements rapidement pour essayer de répondre à la situation sur le terrain. Mais en fait, même le travail politique des partenaires honduriens continue dans le contexte actuel où ils ont déjà fait les contacts avec les pouvoirs publics pour essayer de faire un peu de lobby pour que les travailleuses aient accès à l'aide d'urgence, ce qui n'est pas évident, en fait, dans le contexte actuel. Donc, c'est d'essayer de voir comment les partenaires, eux, voient les moyens, en fait, de faire quelque chose dans les limites, en fait, du contexte.
Mm-hmm. Oui, merci. Thank you all for answering. I know we're going to get into the breakout room, so there's going to be a little bit more room to explore a lot of those questions. And I know there were certain questions in the chat, so I would welcome them to be sort of like an activator for such. So we, as part of the Spur Change team, we're going to be distributing these 4 breakout rooms. And please put up your questions. This is a sort of a moment we're going to take about. Andréane, if you can let me know in terms of time, how much time we would have. But we're going to take some time to actually maybe just devote just back and forth with the speakers. And once we have done that, then we'll come back again into the meeting room. So stick around. Don't go away for our final words.
Thank you, Nico. So just as a reminder of something I said at the beginning, so we've tried to split you into groups, into regional groups. So we will have a group, a French group first, and then we will have a group with organizations working more in East Africa, Central Africa, and Asia. So one speaker and one facilitator will be in each room. So here we go. See you on the other side.
All right, welcome everybody. I know folks are just joining back in, so we're just going to take a couple of seconds for everybody to come back to the virtual world.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all. Maybe we can go on the next. Well, first I'd like to thank our speaker. So thank you, Bella. Thank you, Catherine Bourgault, Catherine Pappas, and Wendy for sharing so openly. I know it's a difficult task when we are in the middle of a crisis, asking you to share about your learning. So thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this conversation. We can go on the next slide. So the recording, as I said before, the recording will be available, and we will also share the contact list and the slides. And if any of you would like to share resources, some of the resources, for example, that were mentioned during the presentation, so you can share these resources with us, and then we will make sure to circulate with attendees. And I also want to invite you to the next learning event that we are organizing, the Spur team. So part of the consultation we did a few weeks ago, one of the most important theme for knowledge sharing was around risk management in the context of COVID. So we are organizing a training on risk management. It's a 3 weeks training because we have a session once a week, and then we have asynchronous video being shared before the live sessions. So the registration are open until tonight. So if you haven't registered yet, and we will do a selection because we want to have a small cohort, which is a good way to make sure that we have a lot of interactivity and participation from different participants. And we have another learning activity that will be, the registration will be launched next week, and it's about fundraising in time of crisis. So if you are not yet registered to our mailing list, I invite you to register so you receive all the different learning opportunities that we are organizing. So again, thank you so much, Bella, Catherine, and Wendy, and thank you all for sharing and for participating in this event.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.